Inmates for Humane Conditions, Cory Cardinal. I will stand up to the structures of colonial suppression, teaching lessons of division amongst my peanut butter people of modest, vulnerable indigenous beginnings. I will sit and write parables of forgiveness, teaching unification to the incarcerated First Nations, elevating the minds of indigenous children, that knowledge of keepers is persistent in positions of power. The elder speak said, water is the strongest yet as soft as a flower. Cowards die the longest, take your death to the honor. Stronger is my people if every link is in order. Visions of natives in overpacked prisons like products in warehouse conditions. Please forgive him, he's living in third world conditions. The poetry of my people written in blood stains on the bricks like sick hieroglyphics of suffering, of ancient prisoners seeking immortality with the scrapings of futility where dignity dies. The minds of the children learn that tears form from broken treaties promised, trusted, and tried, to learn that the words of the system failed and they lied. Brought to you by Inmates for Humane Conditions, by Cory Cardinal. Inmates for Humane Conditions is a network of unified inmates advocating for a better change in the correctional services and for a better system for all. And I work to advocate against the over-incarceration and everything else associated with the demographic of young lost Aboriginal men here in the overcrowded system in Saskatoon Correctional and Saskatchewan across. When I first started, I was a patron of this systemic oppression that affected this demographic of young lost Aboriginal men who had no idea and had no chance of a defense in the form of their dignity, when it all boils down to dignity here, and which was taken from them, and they were put into cells and fed with watered down peanut butter sandwiches and kept at an over-incarceration rate. And these are a demographic of people that have been suppressed by a colonial system dating back before they were born. So they had no chance, and they were born into a system that worked to suppress them, as a spotlight was on for young Aboriginal men. Now I've seen this with my own eyes, as I've been coming in and out of the correctional system since I was a young man, and I've seen this firsthand. And since the Harper government tough on crime agenda made it easier to criminalize people with limited skills, and it created a modern day epidemic and oppression here. Now I look around this system, and all I see is Native men, people with limited skills that have no knowledge or no chance of defense of their dignity, and everything was taken away from them, and the system got worse and worse. And then the provincial premier there made it harder by his tough on crime agenda, which further marginalized people that had limited skills, and so it overcrowded the system with low level people with addictions, people that were marginalized, people that had no defense in their dignity. So I formed the Inmates for Humane Conditions as a way to have inmates speak on their behalf, for inmates to have a fighting chance in defense, so that they could have something, so that they could have hope and dignity in a system that seeks to suppress the young Aboriginal man and the young Aboriginal person. And so I work alongside with several inmates, and I work alongside with lawyers, with advocates, including Classic, and we work to make the conditions better in an overcrowded system. Now, what's going on here is also, since the COVID epidemic hit, it further marginalized people, street people, and everything shut down, including support services that cater to people from marginalized communities, and it forced them into desperation and forced them into basically a further vulnerability and susceptibility to this COVID-19. And what I seen was that street people were had no access to any kind of help and support. They would try to go warm up in a 7-Eleven, and because of the COVID restrictions, the workers treated them like they were the COVID and used dominant professionalism to shoo them away. And so it made it harder. And so my goal is to stand up for this demographic and see that they have a fair chance at defense and that they have a voice. And so here I sit again, incarcerated with this demographic, and so we continue to advocate for the common inmate who has nothing but a watered-down peanut butter sandwich to give to his roommate that is also hungry and starving. And so, that being said, Inmates for Humane Conditions continue to stand, and thank you for listening to me.